be affecting that different?
Yeah, PulseAsia surveys are done through subcontractors. The field research is done by a subcontractor. PulseAsia itself does not do the field research. They make the research design, which is the questionnaire, but the actual field work is done by a subcontractor. Okay, now, number one. Number two, the one reason why online polls became more indicative was because during the pandemic, it was almost impossible to come up with face-to-face surveys because of the lockdowns and because of the quarantine restrictions, no? But that has continued to the present, no? And that may explain the difference, no? In previous interviews, I've said also that there is the element of distrust, no? When you do when you do face-to-face surveys, no? Maraming natatakot because of the prevalence of bashing by online trolls, no? Paid trolls who, halimbawa, boboto ka kay BBM o kay Junior, titirahin ka naman nung Lenny Group or something, or vice versa. Yung masyadong ano. So, the possibility na hindi reliable yung sinasagot sa mga face-to-face surveys is well nigh possible, no? In fact, we have had reports of the subcontractor of the face-to-face the face-to-face subcontractors of research companies na binebend yung tanong in such a way na to elicit a desired answer, no? So that is why we have been using the online survey rather than the face-to-face survey. And ito ang lumalabas nga na data, no? Na it's not Vice President Robredo getting 20s in the 20s ba, sa PulseAsia, and we are getting 8 or something, no? But rather it's a real neck-to-neck fight between the two, no? Vis-a-vis the declining numbers, the slowly declining numbers of Ferdinand Marcos Jr.
Just a quick follow-up. So the reports that you heard of subcontractors saying that they sometimes change the question, are you saying this applies to PulseAsia surveys?
Well, yun ang ginagamit na field research o field numerator ng PulseAsia. In fact, I think Ronald Holmes in the February data research admitted that they use a subcontractor to do the research. Ang problema mo pa dyan, yung subcontractor nagsasubcontract pa din, no? So for instance, I am the contractor rather of PulseAsia or SWS or whoever. May mga probinsya, lalo na yung mga island provinces na medyo malayo o medyo mahirap, sinasubcontract pa din yon. An example is, for instance, we found out that in Leyte, ang subcontractor was or the subcontractor that was utilized by this contractor, this field survey contractor, ang ginamit, mga empleyado ng isang city. City Hall employees. I won't mention the city in Leyte. So, natural, no? Kung City Hall employees of a somebody who's favoring Junior, Ferdinand Marcos Jr., pwedeng na-islant. I'm not saying conclusively na na-islant, but the possibility of the questions being slanted or skewed towards a desired answer is well nigh possible. No?
For Tangere, because I read a bit on methodology, it seems they have a base of people who respond to their questionnaires, right? So,
659,000.
So how do they know they are not asking the same people?
No, they double check that, no, and these are done randomly. Hindi naman the same people, no. These are They have 659,600 respondents all over the country in all the regions, no, all the provinces, and then these are randomly selected
Every time they do a survey.
every time they do a survey.
So they know these are real people.
Yeah.
The
Yes,
people who
these are
post the
real
numbers,
people. They
the
have the
cell phone numbers.
database on these people, their addresses, their cell phone numbers, etc. If you will take note, no, in the U.S. presidential elections since 2016, where Trump defeated Clinton, and then in 2020, when Trump was defeated by Biden, the results were very fast, no? And even in the key states, no, yung mga key states like Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, overnight they had results, no? Because yung methodology is no longer face to face. Lalo na nung panahon na yon. Remember 2020 was a height of the pandemic in the US. So ang ginagamit was online surveys na, no? And the results were quite accurate in the sense na pati yung numbers na panalo ni Biden, for instance, in Pennsylvania vis-a-vis Trump were on the dot, no? The same thing in Georgia, I think. Georgia, Pennsylvania, and another state, Michigan, no? I was in ano kasi, that's why I noticed that myself. I was in quarantine at that time in Taiwan, so I had nothing to do except watch every hour, every ano, no, the CNN the CNN coverage of the election returns and the pre-election polls, no. And I noticed on the dot talaga, but all of these were done online.
Next question. Maris.
Sir, good morning. With regards to the report of subcontracting surveys, did you only learn about this now for this specific elections, or this has been done in previous elections already?
I think these were done in previous elections, no. But as far as I know, the company that is now being used, no, for field research or for field work is a new company, no, from employees of previous companies which closed down or which have transferred business, no. So the problem here is if not necessarily the company, but the field researchers that are used, no, have been influenced by a particular candidate with plenty of money. I'm not making an accusation right now. I'm just talking of possibilities, no.
If this has been the practice in the past, does it diminish the credibility of the survey?
No, in the past they were using some very reputable companies, no, who did consumer research. I think TNS. In 2010, at least, we were using. We knew that TNS. I do not know if there's still in the market, but TNS was the one that was being used for field work by SWS, and I don't know about Pulse. No. At that time, in 2010, during the Pinoy. And I remember that we went directly to TNS with our own research questionnaires. Senator Osmeña and I went directly to TNS to ask them to give the questionnaire. We designed it ourselves, and TNS was giving us very accurate data. No, that's why we knew by April of 2010. I remember I briefed the family of the late President Pinoy Aquino, and I told them that one, we're definitely winning this election. Two, ERAP will win over Villar. ERAP will be number 2 and Villar will be number 3. The family didn't believe me at that time and said, no, that it's still Villar, but I already saw from the data that it was going to be ERAP on second place. but a far second place from Pinoy. No.
Sir, so right now, is it just Pulse, which is using subcontractors for their surveys, or other survey companies as well?
It is
are
possible.
using?
It's possible that others. But I do not. We haven't seen lately as SWS survey. No, what we've seen are commissioned surveys by strat base, if I'm not mistaken, of SWS. Pero yung non-commissioned, like the ulat ng bayan ng PulseAsia, no, we haven't seen that from SWS of late.
So, but Tangere is not subcontracting. It's really going down on the field.
Yeah, I think they're partners with Manila Bulletin. They're partner, or they are partners of Manila Bulletin, no? And they briefed us on this at our request. They briefed us on these surveys that they've done.
And just for enlightenment, sir, how long has Tangere been used as a survey
They
means
started
for presidential elections?
2018, and the founder, in fact, is a TOYM awardee, no, for statistical measures. They started 2018, and they were doing basically consumer research. And it's only now that they started doing political research, or research on political candidacies.
In other words, what you're trying to say is that the methodology being used by Tangere is more credible than what others are using.
I'm not saying they're more credible. I'm just pointing out that they are quite credible, no? And they are more cost-effective actually than field, face-to-face surveys, especially at this time of a pandemic and the fallout of the pandemic.
Yes, sir. And vis-a-vis the things that you're seeing on the ground, for example, when you go out on campaign sorties, yung results po ba of the polls really reflect what you're seeing as compared to the Tangere? Yung comparison lang po, the survey results.
What we're seeing from Pulse does not reflect what we're seeing on the ground. No, the ground reception. I think many of you have covered our field sorties, no, and you've seen the warmth. These are very organic. No, we do not bring people to our bring people to our rallies. In fact, we do not have big rallies for that matter, because we do not consider that to be cost effective. No, I mean, it costs a lot of money, but the correlation between voting and presence in campaign rallies where you have big time entertainers, no, does not correlate on a one-on-one basis, no. So to us, the numbers here are more akin to what we're seeing on the ground than the 24 and 8 or whatever. Ano yung 21 and 8 between Vice President Lenny and Mayor ISKO Moreno.